good evening. It's day 13 today of Vlogmas, I think. I actually haven't opened my advent calendar today, so I think we're on day 13, I can't quite remember. I think it's 9:30, is it 9:30? Yeah, it's about 9:30. It's about 9:30 in the evening. It's been quite a slow day. I've been in the office today. Lily had a day off and she was going to do a self-care day with you, but she's not been very well. She's been quite poorly, so yeah, she's been at home and in bed, so nothing major. I thought, however, for day 13 we could start to look at some of the things I want to do next year. So I'm starting to get some thoughts around what I would like 2023 to look like. My plans don't usually go to plan. There's always curveballs in there, but I like to plan. I've always been someone who's kind of had a 5-year plan. I've always kind of given myself a direction. Doesn't always happen, but as long as I give myself a direction and we're moving, we are moving. We're not kind of stagnant and just kind of living, I guess, and not really moving. The pandemic caused me a lot of stress, as you can imagine. You can tell right now I'm a planner, that I like to tick things off and I like to keep going, whereas COVID caused me to stop and not really move. I think we did move, just in a different direction. I kind of was derailed and started to reflect on what I truly wanted over kind of the direction I was currently moving in. So this year, the 2022 year, was more about understanding what that meant, kind of figuring out what the 2 years of the pandemic done, accepting that we obviously lost 2 years and that massively knocked my plan off track, and just learning to accept that, which is quite hard for me to accept. I feel like a lot of people would get that. So 2023, I want to be more about re-picking things back up, not necessarily going in the direction that I thought I was a couple of years ago, still moving in the direction that I've now been put on. Clearly it was redirection, whatever that saying is, where it's like it's not rejection, it's redirection. So clearly I was meant to kind of go on different tangents, so that's okay. But we're starting to look at what 2023 means. With things being open up fully, I can kind of get my head around what I'd like. I know I say it quite often, but it's definitely haunting me a little bit. The big 3-0 is approaching, so we need to think about that plan, and sort of figure out what the next few years mean. Why do I always get emotional when I talk about stuff? Wow, I did not envision I would end up getting emotional tonight. I thought 2023 would be quite a happy little chat, but 30's clearly hit me hard. However, I think I would like 2023 to be the year that we kind of dig up stuff, put it right as we can, or put it in a box and move on, but do it properly. I think one thing I'm quite guilty of is putting things in cupboards, shutting the door, pretending like it's going to be okay, and it's just constantly being there still. So we're going to open up the cupboard, we're going to have a look around and figure out what we're cutting out and what's staying out and what we need to look after a little bit, and then what we're going to move forwards with. that's how I see my 2023. So I did some pre-thinking. I've made a plan. You need a plan if you're going to do this, and you're going to do it properly. So I split my plan into 5. This is kind of, at the moment I have 5. This is just like I done it in like 15 minutes and just kind of a bit of a brain dump. So at the moment there's no real structure. We'll build the structure in the run up to the new year. So you can do some of that structure with me. I probably won't take you on every structure. As you can tell, there's probably a lot going on that we don't all need to see. But we can work through this together. So we've split it into health, relationships, career, personal, and socials, which is a new one, but we're here. We're doing social, so let's see what next year brings. So I think for me, health is the one that health and relationships are the ones I'm gonna probably spend most time on this year. Actually, personal has a very long list. The other 2, career and social, are quite small. I think that's where I've spent, when I neglect my life, I focus on my career and push that forward. It's kind of like something tangible that I can move and can see grow. Everything else is quite hard. So I've put a lot of focus into my career, and I've done really well for myself. When we get to career, I'll go through that. Whereas I'd say it's probably been at the lack of health and relationships. So that's what this is about. So the first one, we have understand my own health issues. I'm quite open about this, that when I was 22, I think I was 22, I might have even been 20, because I was living, which flat was I living in? I don't know, I think I was definitely Greenwich Way, but I lived in 3 flats that way, and I can't quite remember. I must have been 22, because I was at work, because I remember, I was 22. I was diagnosed with endometriosis, or we think it is. I had all the scans, and they could see a large amount of cysts, but I never had the surgery to confirm it, only because from my own perspective it was never a cure. So we will get through this chat without crying. Okay, we're gonna do this. It wasn't a cure in my eyes to have surgery and have it all removed, because it can grow back. I think that was one thing Molly May actually mentioned, that it can be seen as a cure. From how I understand it, it can't, and I think it is quite a common misconception that having surgery to remove these things will solve all problems. As I understand it, it didn't. There are some people where the symptoms get better, and it's quite a lengthy time that it gets better, but because of what it is, in the sense that it's tissue growth, it continues to grow, you can't stop it. So there are many people that have multiple surgeries, and I just didn't want to put myself through that. So I put it in a box and I ignored it, and we're gonna look at that one. So we're just gonna understand it a bit better. I think it's the one time in my life where I've not wanted to look at traditional medicines. So just trying to figure out what we can do to help it. That's number 1. Number 2 is restart meditating. I actually really enjoyed meditation. I think, like many people, if people tell you they don't have mental health struggles, they're probably not being completely honest. So like the majority of us, I've had my fair share. And one thing that I found actually really helped me was meditation. I'll be honest, I was the first to say I didn't think it would work. I was at uni at the time, so I was like 20, and struggling. And one of my lecturers was like, come with me to a meditation class and just give it a go. Be open and give it a go. And I was the first to be like, I can't sit in a room, like my brain doesn't stop. How can I sit and think of nothing for like half an hour? Like that would be hell. Like I've got too many things to do. I just can't do that. And she made me go. She was like, no, come on, I want you to give it a go. And it was at a time where I did want help. Like it wasn't, there were different stages. I think there were kind of stages where you're like, I can move forward with this on my own and I'm okay. Or there's stages where you're like, no, it's time to get support. And I was at that stage where I was like, I will try them. If it means there's ways of helping, then I will try. So I did. I went with her, and the first class was so weird. I was literally like, I don't know how you expect me to do nothing. Like, how do you expect me to not do anything? And she was like, just give it a go. Come on, be open-minded to this. God, I'm shaking. Be open-minded to this and just see. It doesn't work for everyone. Everyone has different things. But just promise me you'll give it a go. So I was like, okay, fine. So the first session was weird. But I promised her I would give it a go because she said it's not something that kind of would work straight away. It takes time for your body to kind of understand that it's time to slow down and it's time to just listen. So I went back a few more times, and I think I went like 6 or 7 times. It was like a uni thing that they done. And by the end of it, I actually understood it. I understood what the purpose was. My brain definitely looked forward to those times. I got to the point where I wanted to go. And then for a few years, I practiced it myself. So that was kind of approaching summer. It closed for summer. And I started to try and find ones on YouTube that I could do. I used to do it before bed sometimes just to try and like get me to go to sleep. It's still what I actually do if I really, really can't sleep. I still do it. But then I tried doing it in the mornings as like a morning routine. And it didn't quite work for me. So I think now I know what type of meditation helped me, because there are different types. I think that's something that I want to get back into. I haven't done it for a fair bit of time. So I think along with understanding the physical health issues, it's time to reset my brain and keep it going. So those are the first 2. Then we have prioritise physical health. So I joke about it all the time. We often go on Skinny Girl leg walks, or at the moment we're on Skinny Girl Soho vibe. But we don't mean Skinny Girl vibe. It's that whole kind of just prioritising physical health. So that I do want to be a priority for next year. Especially now gyms are reopening. Again, I went for a time where I really loved going to the gym, and I was definitely in the best physical shape I've ever been. And then COVID happened and I didn't find a gym when I came back, and it's hard to find a good gym in London that isn't cost you a fortune. Especially with hybrid working at the moment. I used to have one in the office, or near the office, whereas now I only go to the office 2 days a week. It's finding that balance of where you want to be, because I'm not going to spend money to go into the office just to go to the gym. So it's trying to figure that out. So I want to figure all of these things. I'd like to get a plan in motion before the new year. So we're going to have a look at what that looks like. I'm not a runner. I wish I was. I've only enjoyed running when I was in Spain because it was around the mountains. I can't run on London roads. I feel like I'm being watched, so I don't run. So we're going to figure that one out. We've got 2 left on health. So the next one is practice gratitude. I haven't done this yet. I bought all the kind of self-help guide books where you answer questions, and I just never stuck to anything that was positive. So that is one thing I'd like to do this year, is start to practice gratitude. I'm also my harshest critic, so I would like to do this to remind myself of all the good things that I achieve, the little things, the big things, and just really learn to appreciate my hard work and my efforts and how that kind of plays out. Just learn to appreciate life a little bit more. So they all kind of come under the same thing. They're all kind of mental health, physical health, kind of just general shift in my attitude towards different health mentalities, really. And the last one is learn to lower and regulate my stress levels. They think that my endometriosis, and I'm also being tested for polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, because there are still sort of different things that still come up, different symptoms, so they're just trying to figure out what's going on. But ultimately they believe that all of that happens because of the level of stress that I put myself under. Stress is a funny way of doing things to your body. So what I'd like to do along with all of this is learn to regulate and lower my stress levels. So hopefully those 5 things massively interlink, but they're also things that won't change overnight, and they're not things that I can kind of tick off my list as we go, but we will make a plan and a little planner so that I can tick them off on the days that I do things, and try to get myself into a better pattern. So that's health. Then we have relationships, which, like I say, is the second one that I neglect quite often. So this one's quite easy. I am just going to look to remove toxic people from my life. Again, it goes back to that putting things in boxes and hoping they're going to go away. But they have a funny way of coming back and texting you, seeing where you are, what you're up to. So yeah, we're gonna figure out who genuinely adds benefit to my life, who I want to be around, who makes me happy, who provides me with that safe feeling, and taking good steps to removing the people that don't do that. And this is where I come into my selfish era. This is what I've been hinting at around being selfish, because I really struggle to put myself first. I always just feel really, really guilty when I do that. So that's why I tend to let people back into my life, because I'm like, oh, but what about if they need me? What about if they need help? What about if they're struggling? What about this? And it's like, no, Soph, it's time for you to put yourself first this time. So yeah, we're gonna do that one. I'd like to think it's going to be quite easy. I think it was going to be easy to the initial cross, but it'll be getting them to stay out, which will be the challenge for the year. So let's see if I succeed at that one. So along with letting people go, we're going to embrace letting people in. My walls are very guarded, although I put myself on social media. I do only let people see what I want them to see, which I think a lot of people do, let's be honest. So when people really get to know me, they'll be the first to say that I'm such a closed book, and I don't let people in very often. So we're going to embrace letting people in this year. We're going to obviously not allow people just to kind of come in, but be open to meeting new people, open to making new friends, open to the world around me, and just allowing myself to live a little. Which then leads me on to number 3, which is allowing myself to start redating. This one's a big struggle. This one, because I'm so closed off, because I'm so guarded, I do struggle to let men into my life. So these are the ones I want to work on the most. So sorting out the mental, physical health, and allowing myself to enjoy life a little bit more, allowing myself to be open to dating, meeting people, and letting go a little. So they're the main focuses. Then we have career. So like I said earlier, this one I tend to be quite good at anyway. I have always been very career focused, very driven. I like to achieve things, a bit of a perfectionist. So these ones come to me quite easy. I only really have 2 for this at the moment. One is move into my desired industry, really enjoy my job, really love what I do, so happy to stay doing what I do, but I'd like to move to a different industry, I think, and explore something new. I've worked where I've worked for 7 years. It's all I know. So I think this year will be the year of exploring outside of my comfort zone, seeing if the industries that I've always wanted to work in are what I hope them to be, and just exploring that. I'm young enough to kind of figure that out. I don't have to be in a company for years. No one does anymore. So yeah, career is explore the industry I would like to move towards, and see if that's a space that I would like to be in. And the next one is move to the next salary bracket. Hopefully that happens naturally, but because I am looking at a different industry, I'm going to have to be sensible about that, in the sense that I'm not going to be able to jump up as quickly as I do at the moment, because I am taking a side step. I will have to take the side and then the up. I can't do the up. So that might be like a 2-pronged approach. It might be I do it in the first few months, and then hope to prove myself, show my worth in the later half of the year, and then hopefully do the salary jump then. But let's see where that one takes me. Then the last 2, well, I say last 2, it's personal and social. So personal has 6 things in it. So let's do the personal. First one is continue to enjoy my personal time. This is something I think I've actually made such good strides on in the past couple of years, even in COVID. A few years back, one of my New Year's resolutions was to enjoy my own company. I wasn't very good at doing things on my own. I would kind of miss out on things because I didn't want to go by myself. So I tried really hard. I really pushed myself out of my comfort levels, and go to the scary places that I've always wanted to go to, or the events that I've wanted to go to on my own, because if people wasn't around, I would miss it. So I've done a really good job at that. I'm quite proud of myself for that one. So just continue to do that. Continue to put myself in the scary situations, so that I don't miss out on my own life. So that's one. That's just a continue one. I feel like it's nice. I've started it. Let's continue it. The second one is one that I want to do the most, but it kind of aligns to the understanding my own kind of mental section that sounds like I'm being really rude to myself, but my kind of mental blocks cause me to do this. So this one is learn to unwind and be more silly. I'm quite uptight. My friends will be the first to tell you that. I'm not very good at letting go, and that aligns to the perfectionism side of me. So this year is the year of allowing myself to be more silly, how I'm putting it, which is where I was saying the other day that actually social media has really helped me with that side. You don't see the silly side of me yet, I'm not there yet, but it's definitely grown my personal confidence. It's actually something I've noticed about myself, I'd say, in the past couple of months. My confidence within myself is starting to regrow and come out. So we're going to keep doing that, but hope that along the way I learn to let go as well and learn to live a little. So yeah, that's the big personal one. The next one is set financial goals. I haven't decided what they're going to be yet, so I need to have a think about that. I'm nowhere close to buying a house, so I can't say that this year will be the year that I like to buy a house. But let's think of something which is achievable, which I can kind of tick off along the way, because what I don't want for these is to be completely out there, that I don't have a way of tracking them or kind of showing any kind of progress, because if I can't do that, I'm not going to keep going. So yeah, we're going to set a financial goal. Not sure what it is. When we make these plans properly, we'll figure that out. Along with letting go, I've put figure out my new personal brand. I'm not rebranding. I'm not going to do drastic changes, but it goes down to what I always say, that I feel like you'll start to figure out like my little hints and tips that I've been saying throughout vlogs now, that these are the things that they kind of add up to. But I don't really understand my own style. Like, I don't really understand how I want to be or dress anymore. So I want to figure that out this year. I think I've got quite a classic style, but I do want to experiment, but in a safe way. So when I say brand, I kind of mean how I present myself physically. So that will be an interesting one. Lots of shopping, lots of, I don't know, exciting little trips to figure out what fits, what suits, that type of thing, really. And Lily's planning to help me on that one. She's going to be my personal stylist. When she watches this, she'll be like, yeah, I did say that, but she doesn't know yet. I'd like to travel to a new destination this year. Just before COVID, Lily and I was very fortunate that we'd done a fair bit of travelling in the past few years, and COVID stopped all of that, and we haven't done anything this year. Like I said, I think this year's just been more about getting back to normal. So next year I think I'd like to pick somewhere, go somewhere new. So again, that's something that's quite a nice little tick box. This is a rogue one, but I can't actually drive. So I've put learn to drive, only because, again, I wanted something that I could tick off, and with the big 3-0 approaching, I don't want to enter that without being able to drive. So yeah, I think that's something that I would like to, like an activity that I'd like to tick off this year. And then finally, that takes us to socials. I don't have any grand ones for this yet. I don't have hit 1 million followers or subscribers. Like, I know we're not going to get there in a year. So I've tried to be quite sensible. For TikTok, I've got get to 1,000 followers. We're on 397 at the moment. I'd like to get 400 by the end of the year, so fingers crossed for us. And we don't actively promote our social media. It is genuinely all organic. a lot of my friends don't know. I haven't asked them to follow me. Neither does Lily. So everyone that's followed or subscribed to us has come to us because they've found us, which is quite nice. I think that's nice, which does mean it's been quite slow because I'm not pushing it like that. So 1,000 seems quite sensible, and I push at the same time. If you think that we've done 400 in a year, it's just over a year. This year, if we can kind of do the same but a bit more, that would be nice. So I'd like to say maybe even 2k, because I think when you start to get closer to like the thousands, you tend to get a few more follow you anyway, just because your numbers are higher. So maybe we'll do it as a split target. 1k is the aim, 2k is the push aim. And then YouTube, I've just got to understand what you want from us. So I think in the new year, I'd like to just get to know our subscribers a little better, understand why you watch us, what you watch us for, what is it that you want to see, and start to figure out where to take this, basically. For us, YouTube was going to be a side of TikTok, so TikTok would always be our main social. YouTube would be a place for us to kind of do the behind the scenes, get to know us, because we don't show us on TikTok. TikTok's about the events and spaces that you can go to. YouTube is more about getting to know Lily and I. So yeah, I think I just want to figure out what we want to do with this channel this year, I think. Also understand what type of content you enjoy. So do you enjoy the shorter regular ones that we've done for Vlogmas, or do you prefer the weekly vlogs which are a bit longer? All of those types of questions I want to figure out, experiment with, and just kind of see what works. So yeah, that's what we have for 2023 so far. A fair bit, if I'm being honest. Like, I think, did I say 24? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 18. 18 things. And that's what we have so far. So, yeah. I'm waiting for the Stephen Bartlett diary to come. I have ordered that. I'm hoping it's going to answer all my prayers for organising and keeping me on track. But I have a terrible habit of buying multiple diaries and never sticking to one of them. So, yeah, hopefully that one comes and we stick to it this year, and it's a good way of tracking. But what I'm going to do between now and the new year is break all of these goals down to activities and chunks, which will help me get to the end goal. It's what I do at work, so I'm going to track my personal life. So I probably won't go through the tick boxes with you in detail. These are just the high level things that we're going to look to do. As you can imagine, some of them are going to be quite personal. But when we have the plan in place, I will show you, and hopefully we can tick them off this year and move forward. So yeah, there's my 2023 plan so far. I will leave you here though, because this was only supposed to be like a 10-minute catch up. Didn't help, I had to keep stopped so that I could like have a little moment and come back. But it is now 10 o'clock. Is it 10 o'clock? Yeah, it's 10 o'clock. So I need to take a picture of this so that I don't lose it, because I lose everything, and then put it into motion in the new year. I'm also going to make my vision board. Vision boards haven't worked for me yet, but I will try anything. So we'll make the vision board as well. I'm hoping it's going to help with the gratitude side and the meditation side. So I will create all of those. But yeah, I hope everyone is starting to think about their next year and the little things that they would like to achieve. It's always nice to have something in mind. Like I say, it keeps everyone moving. So yeah, if you haven't done it, do it before the end of the year, and I will see you tomorrow for day 14 of Vlogmas. Night, guys.